can see.
Sorry.
Even on.
It's the end of the world, let's go back the other way. Woo! There we go. We're in the fall of the year. We don't have hornets. Well, we did have some hornets to deal with, but somebody did away with them, which was, you're probably glad we did, because they were right over there. But we've taken care of them. But I tell you, this is an old folk song called "There Ain't No Bugs on Me." Have you ever heard of this song? You have? All right. Are you guys singers? You guys sing? You're a singer? Oh, okay. You sing in the shower pretty well? Yeah. Okay, there you go. Okay. All right, here we go. Are you ready? All right, here we go. Well, there ain't no bugs on me. There ain't no bugs on me. Well, there may be bugs on some of you months, but there ain't no bugs on me. All right, can you sing that with me? Because this is going to be important. Well, there ain't no bugs on me. Ain't no bugs on me. Well, there may be bugs on some of you months, but there ain't no bugs on me. Well, now Junebug come in the month of June, Lightbug come in May. Well, Bedbug come just any old time, but he ain't gonna stay. Ooh, there ain't no bugs on me. Ain't no bugs on me. Well, there may be bugs on some of you, but there ain't no bugs on me. Well, now mosquitoes they fly high, mosquitoes they fly low. That old skeeter land on me ain't gonna be no more. There ain't no bugs on me, ain't no bugs on me. Well, there may be bugs on some of you, but there ain't no bugs on me. Now, bullfrog sitting on a lily pad, looking up at the sky. Well, lily pad broke and the frog feeling got caught up in his life. Ain't no bugs on me, ain't no bugs on me. Well, there may be bugs on some of you, but there ain't no bugs on me. Yeah. Well, now Peanut's sitting on a railroad track, heart was all flutter. Well, I'm gonna shoot you on the track, choo choo peanut butter. Woo! There ain't no bugs on me, ain't no bugs on me. Well, there may be bugs on some of you, but there ain't no bugs on me. Wait a minute. Well, there ain't no flies on me, huh? Ain't no flies on me. Well, there may be flies on some of you guys, but there ain't no flies on me. Whoa! There ain't no ticks on me. Oh, there ain't no ticks on me. Well, there may be ticks on this little chick, but there ain't no ticks on me. Woo! Well, there ain't no lobsters on me. Ain't no lobsters on me. Well, there may be lobsters on this old monster, but there ain't no lobsters. Everybody, there ain't no bugs on me. Ain't no bugs on me. Well, there may be bugs on some of you, but there ain't no bugs on me. Well, I had an old coat, but the coat got torn. What'll I do? You go, what'll I do? I had an old coat, but the coat got torn. What'll I do? put the coat got torn, so I cut and stitched and the jacket was born. And I'll sing every day of my life, everybody. And I'll sing every day of my life. Alright. Well now, when the threads were getting thin, what'll I do? When the threads were getting thin, what'll I do? Well, when the threads were getting thin, I made my shirt and I tucked it in. And I'll sing every day of my life. Your turn. And I'll sing every day of my life. Alright, now we're at a shirt here. Now the sleeves wore off from the east and the west. What'll I do? What'll I do? Sleeves wore off from the east and the west. What'll I do? Well, sleeves wore off from the east and the west, so I cut and I stitched and I made me a vest. And I'll sing every day of my life. Your turn. And I'll sing every day of my life. Very nice. All right. Well, I've got to be honest with you. Mark's been around me long enough, and he knows that I'm kind of a messy eater. Well, I stain my vest with cherry pie. What'll I do? What'll we do? Stain my vest with cherry pie. What'll I do? Well, stain my vest with cherry pie, so I cut and stitched and I made me a. And I'll sing every day of my life, everybody. And I'll sing every day of my life. Now listen to the Dalton. Where were we at? Oh, that's right. Now when that tie was looking lean, what'll I do? When that tie was looking lean, what'll I do? Well, when that tie was looking lean, I made a patch for my old blue. Well, I didn't wear it today, but when I'll sing every day of my life, everybody. And I'll sing every day of my life. All right, well, we're down to a little patch. Now, we can stop right there, couldn't we? And say we did pretty well. We went from a jacket, a shirt, vest, tie, a patch. Now, should we go further? Can we try and make some out of that patch? All right. Now, when that patch was next to nothing, what'll I do? When the patch was next to nothing, what'll I do? Well, when that patch was next to nothing, I rolled it up into a button. And I'll sing every day of my life, everybody. And I'll sing every day of my life. Well, you know what? Should we stop, Mark? Oh, no? Oh. I don't know what I can do. Well, when that button was almost gone, what'll I do? When that button was almost gone, what'll I do? Well, when that button was almost gone, with what was left, I made this song. And I'll sing every day of my life, everyone. And I'll sing every day of my life.
Try to make it as loud as possible.
Yeah. Oh, here comes another one. All right, have a seat.
Okay. Everybody, welcome to school. Not that many people here today. I think I scared some of them away.
Did someone play hooky?
Maybe. I don't know.
Did someone play hooky?
We're playing hooky.
Nobody wants to be punished today.
Should we come up?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna need some participation. So, are you ready to participate? Yes. Okay, good. So my name is Miss Bloom.
Hi,
Everybody
Miss Bloom.
say, good morning, Miss Bloom.
Good morning, Miss Bloom.
Good morning, students. So, if you were in a schoolhouse in the 1800s, it would likely be a one-room schoolhouse, meaning all of the kids from grades 1 through about 8th grade would be in the same room all together. And the older kids would be helping the younger kids. You might be very lucky to have one of these nice chalkboards made out of slate. I'm going to hand these out. If you want one of these, raise your hand. There you go. Anybody else want to participate?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Would you like a slate? Oh, okay. I'll teach you. Okay? You are each going to get a piece of chalk. Is that everybody? I believe so. Okay, so we are going to do a couple of lessons today, just like we would have done in the 1800s. So our first lesson is going to be spelling. So I need you to spell the word apple on your slate, please. Apple. A-P-P-L-E. Oh, I heard it. A-P-P-L-E. Now everybody hold up your slate. Let me see it. Let me make sure. Okay, okay. Okay, very good.
Did I do all right?
You did all right. Let me make sure that we spelled it right. Okay, we did. Good job. Now, the next thing we are going to work on is our arithmetic. Arithmetic. So you can use your slate for this if you need to. But if you can do it in your head, that's fine. Okay? It's up to you. So I'm going to give you a problem that you need to solve. The problem is, Johnny has 4 siblings. So how many total is that? How many kids? 5. 5 kids total. Very good. He goes to the general store and he buys 10 apples. On the way home, he eats 2 of those apples. How many apples do his siblings each get? How many apples do each of his siblings get? 2.
Does that include the ham too?
He ate 2.
Oh, he ate 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. Johnny went to the...
See, I'm not ready.
Johnny has 4 siblings. He went to the general store to buy 10 apples. On the way home, he ate 2 of them. So how many apples are left for his 4 siblings? Or how many apples do each of his siblings get? I should say. 2. Did we get 2?
I got 2.
2.
Perfect. Very good. Okay. They are smart, huh? Do you like it?
This is a favorite Father's Day present for Indians. It's a variable speed quarters drill.
That's crazy.
There it goes. Anyway, it will spin. There we go. Yeah. So I'm just basically trying to thin this down and then rough shape it in kind of maybe a teardrop shape. So I'm looking for areas where I have ridges.
Okay.
The energy wants to follow that, and I'm looking for high and low spots. And a high spot becomes a low spot when you turn it over. So I could take some flakes off here probably. The edge is a little thin and brittle.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is dull it and strengthen it.
Oh, wow.
I've also turned it also from, I've dropped it down, which is good because I want to be a little below the center of this piece. So I don't want big flakes. They've got low spot here. I just want to get all over this ridge here. So I'm gonna actually squeeze with my hand underneath here.
Oh my gosh.
Take a flake off there, and I'll go right next to it. There. Come back and catch that one after I take one more down here. There we go. So you can see I've thinned that edge and straightened it, or centered it more correctly. So it's sharper, straighter, thinner, and again, I just got to figure out where I want the base to be and what kind of shape I want, and then finish thinning it down.
Big cauldrons of animal fat being reduced, mixed with a few things if you're lucky. Dip this in, it came up full of soap. It didn't come in little blocks like that, at least not for the soldiers. Right. Leather strop to sharpen his razor blade. Yes.
Why did the soldiers use the kill with cannons?
Why did they kill with cannons? Well, because they had them. That was the bit. The cannon was known as the Queen of Battle because of its long range and its power.
And tried to make it off the mountain. He was immediately shot down by riflemen.
And of the original one, my understanding, there was 100 made by 4 different manufacturers.
So was there a point during the war where the British actually adopted, like regularly adopted rifles? Or?
Yeah, when it came to the Baker rifle, which is later time period than American Revolution.
So they never actually adopted this thing?
Well, they did for that regiment when Ferguson was in charge.
Okay. Nothing common during
But no. And breech loaders, at the time of American Revolution, 99% of the firearms, the flintlocks, were not breech loaders. Because I'm going to demonstrate a couple other breech loaders here.
British were arrogant. They thought they controlled the world almost. We don't need that.
This is a Queen Anne screw barrel pistol. Now Queen Anne reigned, and this is from the time period about 1680. So what happens is you pour powder down there, and take this nice little ball, fit it on top, and then you take this barrel and screw the barrel. That's why it's called a Queen Anne screw barrel pistol. As soon as I start it, on there, and you take this tool. You know what this tool's called? Us Americans would call it a wrench. It's called a spanner. And see this little stud here? You come down here, put it over that, and secure, lock down the barrel. And then you prime it, and you've got a nice little self-sealed pistol. Same way, fire. But this is 1680 time period, Queen Anne's time period. But trust me, these type of pistols were only for the wealthy and the royalty, things like that. Because there's still a lot of machining and things that go into it, okay? So not very common, certainly not very common in America, okay? Now this pistol is also screw barrel, but it's a box lock, which means it's in the center. And it's not a dueling pistol, it's self-protection. Again, pour powder, put a ball down there, screw it down. But with this one this is a reproduction, exact reproduction, owned by this guy. You know who this guy is? His originals are still there at his house, or his mansion, or his plantation, called Monticello.
Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson. So Thomas Jefferson's pistols would have been like this. Now, you have to understand Thomas Jefferson, these were made in London, England. He was wealthy, he could afford nice toys, okay?
So you didn't need a spanner wrench to tighten that. You had the other, or do you? Just like the other one?
And with these pistols and this, because they're custom made, you would also have your own bullet mold for whatever particular caliber is made for this, okay? So that's what happened with this. You would also have American long rifle. The gunsmith that made this, he would have made the mold for this, because this is a 58 caliber, that's a 45. That guy down there might be a 52 caliber. This guy's over a 50 caliber. It's all over the map, so there's not one size fits all, okay? So if you lose this, you can be pretty well screwed, because you can't make any correct size balls to fit your gun.
Yeah, there's a technique you can make. You can redo it from the barrel, but it's a whole process.
Right. You say,
common
I want a
method.
ball that's 525 size and diameter.
Yeah.
Well, you got to have a expert machinist and all that to machine out. That's called the cherry, that inside and all that. So maybe he makes it 520 instead of 525. You know.
Well, I thought I remember there being a way to make a casting of the barrel.
That is correct.
And then you make the
Yes,
form from
that is correct.
But they could never mount that. It was logistically too hard to keep the fort alive, let alone
The Fort Lawrence.
let alone make an expedition. So the only action that happened there was a guy by the name of Simon Gertie, who was like a Daniel Boone for Ohio, but he was on the British side. So he brought some Wyandotte warriors down, along with the King's 8th, and they laid siege to Fort Lawrence for about 3 weeks. The only action that happened there was they sent out a wood party of about 18 guys. They got him in a crossfire, killed them all, hatcheted him, and war clubbed them all to death. And once that was over, they couldn't keep the fort alive logistically. So it was abandoned like early summer the next year. They built it in the fall, and then it was abandoned like, 8-9 months later.
We're throwing rammers. That's right behind you. Return, rammer. Shoulder, fire line. Just like the karaoke machine. To the right about, face. Order, fire line. Rest.
No targets. We're not firing live rounds. These are all blanks. We don't bring live ammunition here. We lose too many customers. We hate to see the ambulances and taking away kids, dead kids, and crying mothers. It's very, very, very sad. So no, we don't bring live ammunition here.
Anyways, are the lead ball bullets in other words?
Yeah, they're bullets. The lead balls are bullets.
Just wanted to know. What type of, aren't there like other...
Matter of fact, most of these men are pretty good shots. And at 80 yards, if they were trying to shoot me and they hit me once out of 5 times, that'd be about what they could expect. At 50 yards, if they shot at me, probably hit me 3 out of 5 times. At 35 yards, they would hit me every time. And at 25 yards, they could probably, most of them, pick out which button they wanted to hit. What that means is you got to let them get pretty close with these smoothbore muskets. You've heard that somebody said at Bunker Hill, don't fire till you see the whites of their eyes. I don't know if anybody said that. But the spirit of that is, by the way, you can see the whites of a person's eyes at about 25 yards. So now, how long did I say it takes to load this? Somewhere around 15 to 20 seconds. So if you fire at 25 yards, you're probably not getting another chance. They're going to be on top of you, so don't miss. Attention. Shoulder, fire line. Prime and load. That's one of the things that we ask ourselves about, because we don't get it exactly about the nature of these weapons, is that since they're not very accurate, if you're going to open fire at 80 or 100 yards, you're not going to open fire individually like we would do today. You're going to fire in groups or volleys. As a matter of fact, the American Army was not supposed to fire in groups. If you're all the enemy, what makes a difference which one of you they hit? Right? And you would be doing the same thing with them if you had muskets. But you don't. To the right face. Take care to counter march by the right about march. Left face. Let's see how they slow the British where they had to watch the Americans. Make ready. Take aim. Fire! Prime and load. Now, because it takes so long, normally a regiment is about 400 to 600 men, and you would never have your entire group of men fire at the same time, because then all your muskets are empty at the same time. So you'd have, maybe you'd fire from left to right by companies or right to left. There are lots of different sequences. The other thing is, by the way, the inaccuracy of this is that a British Army officer wrote in 1772 that ballistic test, the ball from one of these British muskets fell 4 feet in 100 yards. So your shoulder's probably about 4 feet off the ground, so at 100 yards you can expect a lot of ankle and toe injuries. Make ready. Take aim. Fire! Prime and load. The one man on the end in the green coat, he's firing a rifle. Everything that we talked about, everything that I said about how it's loaded and fired is pretty much right for him, except that his rifle has spiral grooves cut in the barrel, which turns his weapon into a much more accurate weapon. He's accurate at a man out to about 200 yards. It takes him a lot longer to load. His weapon needs to be wiped clean every 5 or 6 shots in optimum conditions. But he wouldn't be firing necessarily in volleys like the rest of the musket men. Make ready. Take aim. Fire! Shoulder, fire lock. Anyway, so rifles and muskets have their place. Rifles in the American Revolution, they had them on the American side, and you can look over here after the demonstration. You'll see a couple of American rifles. But there weren't enough of them. They were very expensive too. Rifles are expensive and they're kind of delicate. And here's the other downside of rifles, especially American rifles. Everyone comes with its own ball mold, meaning that if you run out of ball for your rifle, you can't get them from the guy on either side of you, because his rifle may be different than yours. Muskets have standard calibers, sort of. To the front, mark. Take care. Halt. Right, face. Take care to counter march by the left about. March. Halt. Left, face. Now, at about this length, they're trying to decide what they need to do. They can see, number one, most of you have dropped your weapon. Most of you, it's kind of disordered too. These people in the front are in a nice straight line. fix, bayonet. Early in the war, one of the real problems for the American Army is that since most of the weapons that they were using to fight with came from their own homes, they didn't have bayonets. Because you know, if you hunt, you don't take a bayonet into the woods with you because the deer never counterattack. That's true. Anyway, but bayonets go on military weapons and they turn your military firearm into a spear. Shoulder, fire line. Company will advance, slow, march. Charge, bayonet.
Stop!
March! March, march! Halt! Now you'll notice that the rifleman doesn't have a bayonet on his rifle. He has this extremely short sword. The riflemen don't like to fight. Shoulder, firearms. Present arms. They're saluting you, so you can. Shoulder, firearms. By the way, the three men on the right end with coats like mine are members of the 8th Pennsylvania. Then we have a British soldier, member of the 64th Regiment of Foot. They fought all over the colonies, from the New York campaign down through the South. The man here next to him in the red coat face blue is from the 23rd Royal Welsh Fusiliers, and look at his uniform. It's kind of slick. It's got the Prince of Wales emblem all over it. And next is a Hessekesajäger, and that means hunter, and he's a rifleman. And he's not a mercenary. The German soldiers weren't mercenaries. Mercenaries hire themselves out. He didn't hire himself out. His prince hired him out. And then the prince even got money if he didn't come home. So the prince wasn't really worried about Bill or Wilhelm. Unfix bayonets. All right, I'm gonna dismiss them, and they're gonna get ready to do the cannon, the artillery with you, and I'll answer questions if you have any. Shoulder, fire lines. Company, dismiss. By the way, the Brigade of the American Revolution is a non-profit organization, international non-profit organization. And if this looks like fun to you, it is. So we'd be glad to have recruits in any of the units that are around. So if you feel like you'd like to do this, just let one of these fellows know. Are there any questions while they get the cannon ready? And you can lob things over the walls of forts, or you can make the ball Cannons at the time didn't shoot exploding balls. Howitzers and mortars did shoot exploding balls. So if you had a line of infantry coming at them, this little gun is particularly nasty because you can load it up with about 40 or 50 musket balls, or a hollow cannonball full of gunpowder that will explode over them. So it's a pretty nasty little thing. The range on this, though, to get to your question, is 600 yards. The range on just like the musket had a small hole in it to prime it, there's a vent on the top of the cannon barrel. He puts his thumb over that. By the way, his thumb is encased in a leather stall because that could be real hot if we just fired it. That's to keep air from flowing through the barrel.
Around over there? Anyone behind this one?
Hold that up, Doug. Hold that up. It's a corkscrew thing, and he's going to run that in there to make sure that there's nothing left in there from the last time it was shot, especially if it could be on fire. Something hot in there would be a real drag when we put the next round in.
Sponge piece.
And we're also going to run a damp lamb's wool sponge down there to make sure that there's nothing hot, no sparks in the barrel. Now, he's bringing the cartridge up. Normally, the boxes with the ammunition would be further back, so that if you hit the ammunition, you wouldn't necessarily kill everybody on the cruise.
Cartridge!
So now that man is putting the cartridge in the barrel.
Ram cartridge!
And this man is ramming the cartridge home. Cartridges just like we did with the musket cartridge. There'd be powder and the projectile. Now these men in the front now will move to the back of the gun. The reason they retire is because you can see they were standing in front of the muzzle. That's a real bad place to be.
Ready! Fire! Boom! Come on!
That wasn't as odd as you thought it was going to be, is it? Now we'll do it for real, but we'll aim the gun that way. When the one step that I didn't describe is after the gun is loaded, then the man on the right rear will shove a brass wire down through the vent hole to punch a hole in the cartridge, the foil cartridge. And then he would put a quill, which it started out just really being the quill from a turkey feather or something, full of gunpowder. Then he shoves that in, and that's what you light. You can see the quills in the box that he's got here. Oh, you couldn't? I'll get him to come over. It's going to be louder this time. The one thing about these howitzers is the bore that you can see is 3 inches. That goes back about this far. And then there's a smaller chamber about 1 inch across or so. And that's where the gunpowder goes. So you get real economy of gunpowder for every shot that you put out. Unlike a cannon whose bore is the same all the way back. If you want to cover your ears, now'd be the time.
Ready! Fire!
That wasn't too bad, was it? We should do that again, though, right? There's no reason to put that in the car. By the way, can you see that piece of tinfoil laying in front of the gun? That's what's left from the first cartridge that was taken out when they searched it with that corkscrew. Secure the piece. To be made out of steel, because who knows what happens when flint is allowed to strike steel? It makes a spark. You've seen this one. The man in the middle with the white plume is from the 23rd Royal Welsh Fusiliers. The man in the red coat next to him is from the 64th Regiment of Foot. And finally, the man in the green coat is a Jaeger or hunter of Hesse-Cassel. To the right, face. Take care of the counter march. By the right about, mark. Out. Left, face. Make ready. Take aim. Fire. Ready, load. It's a pretty good day when the humidity's low and it's about this temperature. Humidity can really screw up a battle, and if it started to rain, the battle was off. Seriously, because remember, they're loading and pouring powder into an open area. So there was a battle called the Battle of the Clouds, and you can look this up if you think I'm kidding. They got out there, got ready to fight, started to rain, battle's off. Take aim. Fire!
Yes, it's a lot of money.
Take aim. Now, fire! Shoulder, fire lock. That's the bomb. Sergeant Hornbrook. Up. Right face. By the right about, counter march. March. Up. Front. Fix. Bayonet. The reason we do that little counter march business is the NCOs and officers in most armies stood in the same place. That's why you don't need to see epaulets or gorgets or sashes to know which guy to shoot. The officers or sergeants are always on the right front corner of the company in every army. So just shoot the guys on the right front if you're trying to break down the command. Shoulder, fire locks. Now, one of the things, the movie The Patriot, by the way, is a good movie. It's a very enjoyable movie, but it was made for entertainment. And one of the things that we find that could be done better were the bayonet charges. This is what, multiply this times 400, this is what a bayonet charge should look like. Charge, bayonet. Huzzah! Company will advance, march. March, march. You don't want to be the first guy there. Charge, bayonet. Bill, will you hold that windstock up? That thing is called a windstock. Another thing that's wrong about the movies is they always show a guy with a flaming torch.
When I did a shoot over at Hale Farm.
There's a lot of gunpowder around here. You don't want open flames. That's got a piece of burning cord in it. And that has got to be placed on something for it to go off. Get fire! He's punching a hole in the cartridge. Then he's going to put a quill, literally a quill from a feather, full of gunpowder in there. And that's what we're going to light. Ready! Get fire! William?
You don't live on